The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, joined by Addie Rich. Our podcast is dedicated to amplifying the voices of the disability community. I'm a polio survivor, wheelchair user, and Addie.
And I have CP and transitioning into a wheelchair user. Still trying to fight the good fight.
Yeah. I saw, I think it was Jesse Strahan, who we've been trying to get on the show. If you know Jesse, let her know. We've communicated, and we're kind of missing each other, all of that. But I haven't given up on her. But gosh, she had a great post the other day, just talking about, how the wheelchair just allows her to do so many things. At some point, it was her enemy when she first became injured, and then it moved on. And I can relate to that. Even though it's different, the journey was different, but, I also was much more ambulatory and then went to the wheelchair. And that's one of the things that helped me make that transition. I had walked for so many years, and then that declined to a certain degree. Whereas, when I moved to the wheelchair, I just felt that agility again. So, yeah, so I really,
well, and I know
really,
it's there, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just my vanity. I know it's there because even for me, I've walked for years in various success levels after having my back surgery and things, and having to get basically out of a chair and learn to walk again and stuff. But I haven't had as many balance issues and things as I have the last 2 years. And I know even that trips me out, right? Because I'm like, what's going on, body? We had this. Mm-hmm. We scared people when we walked. They thought we might fall over, but we wouldn't. And now, I'm like, why can't I trust you, you little betrayer? Yeah. So it's going through that whole process, and I'm the wanting to know. I've always been the kid that was like, why, or like wanting to fix it. So my brain is kind of going through the why process of why am I dizzy and what is going on. And
well, and part of that is aging.
I know.
Sorry, did I say that out loud? And I used to have to tell myself that too. But you know what? And there is as much as we talk about this transition, but there are, positive, practical reasons why it is good to walk as long as you can. There's some real benefits that come from that. Yeah. So like you say, transition. So, there are times when it's best that you use the chair, and
yes,
for yours and everybody's safety.
For sure. For the alcohol on the shelf that I'm scared of ruining, for all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I touched upon this last week, so I thought I'd kind of go over it a little bit this week. And my doctor, I went back and saw my doctor. And first of all, I guess I totally misunderstood her. Okay. So just for a little backup and background, I approached her about the weight loss injections that they have now in many different forms. And hopefully it's okay that I mention this. My brother, who also, we got polio together. We've had it for the same amount of time. He is going through this, and I was already thinking about it. And so, in one of our conversations, found out that he was doing it, and he's like 2 or 3 months into it. So, when I go to my doctor and bring it up with her, she's gently pushing back in these different ways. One of them, she needs to weigh me. She doesn't have a scale. So,
Yes, I remember the scale debacle.
Yeah. So, I asked her about, why don't you get a scale? Well, I only have a couple other patients that would use it besides you. And I said, well, everybody can use it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's like I say, I get the feeling there's a real reason that she is pushing back on it, and all these excuses she's giving me are not. They have nothing to do with whatever the real reason is. So, when I say that, then she says, well, they're expensive. I said, no, they're not. They're, because she thought they were thousands of dollars for some reason. You can get them for under $500. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've kind of heard, maybe you've heard this too, the doctors make some pretty good money.
Yeah,
Right?
rumor has it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people, that are, say, contractors.
Yeah.
And when they come to my house to do work, they don't borrow my tools.
Yeah.
They don't
exactly.
expect me to have tools to
You're
do
not like,
the
hey,
job.
Doug, I need your ladder that you. Yeah.
And some of these tools can be fairly expensive.
Yeah.
Not unlike the price tag that she sees in having the tools to do her business.
Right.
And so so I misunderstood. The part that I misunderstood, I was thinking she just needed me to find a way to weigh myself and then I could come back and tell her how much I weighed. No, she has to see me weigh myself.
Okay. Okay.
And I get that. But then there's this. My brother is doing this. Yes, it's a challenge for him to weigh himself as well. They don't have a scale. So they are taking measurements. They're measuring him to monitor his progress.
Makes sense.
Which I share with the doctor. And, then I get the deflection, talk about something else, go to the notes, this, that, and the other. And, I don't even get an answer one way or the other on that. It's just she's trying to change the subject. So for whatever reason, she doesn't want to do it.
It boils down to the fact that she is not going to be the one to help you do it.
Right. And that's it. I think that's where we're at, So, so part of me wants to continue to advocate, but it tells me that I have to look for another doctor, either altogether or at least for this part of my healthcare journey. So we'll see how it goes.
Right.
One last thing, I'm going to reach out to the gal that does my taxes.
Okay.
And I'm going to have her help me prepare something to show the doctor that not only is this not that expensive, but you can write it off.
Okay.
And I'm going to give her facts and figures on how little this will impact her financially.
Well, okay, and I have a sort of snarky comment, so
Hit me.
No, it's not about you.
Oh.
But I'm prefacing it to say that it probably is snarky and a little bit judgy, but the fact that, okay, are you in the business of caring for patients or working for insurance?
Yeah.
I think that if I got so frustrated, that would be my comment, with all the deflection and whatever. I'm like, are you a caregiver or are you I understand the liability issues and things, but right now you're not sounding like a caregiver because she's not willing to get the tools.
Right.
The otoscope on her wall was probably more than the scale will be.
That's why I say, it feels like there's something else there that is a roadblock. And
I wonder what she would say if you were like, yo, I'm done with the excuses. Just tell me the real reason. I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Yeah.
How would she cope if you were like, this is horrible. My mom's going to be so mad, but cut the shit.
Yeah.
Tell me why. Tell me why. Because we're two humans in a room and I want to understand.
Well, this leads me to another, dynamic, I think, but in the relationship, because, I changed from a doctor before because I found her when I was looking for a particular specialty.
Okay.
But then I noticed while I was there that she was an MD, and I liked our conversation. I liked, her openness and just how we communicated. I liked it. So I said, can I transfer, and you could be my primary? She said, yeah, I don't see why not. So I transferred to her. Well, then before the last two visits, there were two visits before that I got her colleague. So, yeah, and that was not the same mesh that I liked. Yeah. So when I made an appointment, then I specifically said, I want to see Dr. Beep Beep. So,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So now I've had two visits with her. So I say all that to say, somehow in maybe how comfortable I am communicating with her, I've been off-putting.
Maybe. Because you were like, hey, we're BFFs. And she's like, huh?
And I'm not saying I'm off-putting.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because I would never admit that. But, I mean, it's a possibility. But what I'm saying is, when I don't just go along with everything she says, and I do have comeback
When
answers.
you're your own advocate.
Yes, and she may not be enjoying that.
She's not used to somebody that, and she doesn't realize the advocate hat you wear in other parts of your life, right? So she's like, Jesus, normally they just take what I say and get out of here. And you're like, no. Yeah.
And a wonderful point there. I try to not go too far because I know I am immersed in all of this through the podcast and the volunteer work that I do. You know, I don't want to be the hammer that everything looks like a nail to it.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I don't want to be, this overzealous advocate. You know, I want to see it as clearly as I possibly can.
Right.
Without being, too myopic. So.
Well, and maybe not to approach it. Not to approach it in the first way. I suggested if you were comfortable to speak to her as well, saying, hey, I chose you because you're very open. I enjoyed your communication style, but I feel like we're miscommunicating on this issue that's important to me.
Yeah.
Can you really tell me why we're at this impasse? Because I felt like you were going to be an advocate for me. Maybe that's the way, right? And then that way she sees that you're feeling, and then maybe she doesn't care.
Yeah.
But maybe she does care.
I think she does. Definitely think she does. It's just this one, there's a bit of a roadblock. One last thing on it is that I'm curious if, somebody that wasn't in a wheelchair came in, would there be this much conversation about whether they got the treatment or not?
Yeah, I am curious too. I mean, I have a sneaking feeling and I'm not a medical doctor, do not quote me. I have a sneaking feeling if it's because your underlying heart condition that makes her anxious, because I know that I kind of looked into it as well, and because of my epilepsy, they won't do it unless it's like super closely monitored. So I'm wondering if it's something similar, that like there's a red flag on a heart condition that just says no, and she doesn't want us.
Or anything else, a red flag on heart condition or any of the other things that are going on with me. But communicate those to me if that's the issue.
100%.
Right? Yeah. Well, and she did at some point, I think this last visit, talk about, we want to exhaust everything else and exercise and diet. And I'm like, I don't want to bore you guys with all the stories, another whole long story about what I've been through and trying to change my diet and how my diet has changed. I even went to ChatGPT and told him I have a goal of 25 pounds. I want to lose 20. And it's not a big lot of weight there I'm trying to lose. 25 pounds, I'd be happy. It would be easier for me to transfer is one of the things. My shoulders are gone. They're shot. And so I've already been trying all those things, and when I sent it to ChatGPT and said what I want, I want to lose 25 pounds. I want to do it with intermittent fasting, 2 meals a day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I just had to smack myself in the head because everything it printed out are the things that I'm doing already.
True. Well, here's a perfect segue, though. Our guest is perfect for this whole thing. Yeah. Because, sometimes the universe feeds us in mysterious ways the things we're asking for instead of the things. What do they say? They give you what you need instead of what you want?
Yes. But my concern is, my cardiologist said the same thing about exercising, and I'm like, exercising is just using, not exercising, just my day-to-day use is very painful, A, and B, there are some, not just while I'm doing things, but there can have some lasting effects for a day or two while I recover from just my life, not climbing mountains or doing anything strenuous, just living my life.
Right. So you're in a different container.
So I can't know what level of exercise do I have to do to cause some weight loss.
For sure. I mean, that's a really good question, right? Because I've kind of thought the same myself. I'm like, well, my balance is shit, so but it's the chicken or the egg. Yeah. But I mean, it's like we have bikes in the garage, and the weather's beautiful today. So I told Tito, let's get the bikes down. Like, you have to make it a priority. So I'm like, no, I have things I could do over here. Yes, but however, you do have age not on your side and not misuse of joints, but I don't know what to call it. Like, basically you use them in a very different way.
Yeah, used for a long period of time causes
necessity.
This. Yeah.
Necessity.
And I'm seeing people online who are, 11 or 12 years past injury And they're talking about, taking steps to mitigate the issues they're having with their shoulders. I've been doing this for 70 years. These people are 11, 12 years in. Oh, my shoulders, and nothing against it. Yes, I understand. I'm living it too with you.
Yeah. You feel it. Yeah. You feeling it as well. Yeah, it is. It's a quandary.
So then I get them, sorry, but I get the mild shaming, when I'm at a sporting event. I like to go to the sporting events, adaptive sporting events for the fellowship, but sometimes I get the kind of the quiet shaming, why aren't you jumping in? Hey, come on, these games are fun. Come on. Yeah. When you come back and talk to me when you're 70.
For other things.
Yeah. And you've been pushing that wheelchair for another 60 years. Come back and talk to me. Yeah.
Right.
This is me. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I don't think, I can't say that. I can't say the B word, can I? I'm no wuss. Okay. I have a pretty high pain tolerance. Yeah. I very rarely take
your body is not for the faint of heart.
Right.
Let's say it that way.
And I'm against, for two reasons. I'm against taking painkillers because, they're not good for you.
Yeah.
They're not good for your body, your kidney, and all those things. And and then you build up a tolerance, and then when you really need them, they're not going to really work. So I use them very sparingly. You know. So anyway, that's my friggin' egg lick story. To be continued, evidently.
We love you anyways.
So you are right. As you generally are. Is that our guest today?
But this conversation is well angled for those of us who might need some inspiration or are stuck in the what can I do because I can't do that. This was a really cool.
There are options.
There are options.
Right?
And getting up in the morning is a triumph. So
yes.
Give yourself a sticker for that, Doug.
Absolutely. And I do. Every morning I get up and do my slow roll to start moving, and lay there in bed and go, all right, you ready? As soon as we start, because that's just the almost cruel, kind of ironic, the world has a sense of humor thing. Mm-hmm. I'm fine as long as I'm not moving. If I get in the right position,
you're golden.
Thank God. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I am grateful for that. I find gratefulness in many, many different forms. And that's one, if it just gets too tough, I can just go lay down somewhere.
A different way.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the joke for us too, because I start work at 6:30 in the morning, right? But every time I get up in the morning, everything pops. Because it's all had a rest for the thing. So Tito always knows when I'm getting up because literally my knees, my hips, everything does a snap, crackle, pop. And then I walk out, So it's always good morning after he hears that.
Pop, crackle, pop, and what's it?
Yeah, snap, crackle, pop.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Exactly.
That's your new nickname. All right.
Yeah.
We've got Jeff Whittle coming in here next. He's an old buddy of mine from radio. He transitioned into a new life and a new career and a new place to live, all of that. So we'll hear all about it as soon as we come back from this word from Agyar Professional Training.
At Agyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Agyar is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Agyar Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
From the Agyar Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Sunrise hits my face, just like you. Another brand new day, tell me what you gonna do. I wish that you could see what's inside of me. I laugh, I cry, I live, I die, I hope, you. Just like you. Sometimes take those pills to make it through. I wish that you could see what's inside of me. I love, I cry, I live, I die. I hope, I dream, it would seem I'm just like you.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live. Let's start with an introduction from our guest. Your name, where you're from, disability status.
My name is Jeff Whittle. I'm originally from Iowa, a farm. Grew up on a farm there, but I'm living in San Diego. I have a gym in Mission Valley here called Silver Strong Fitness. So I'm a personal trainer of seniors mainly, and a lot of balance and people that have mobility issues. But fortunately for me, I don't have a disability myself, but I work with folks and help them with theirs on a daily basis.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Walk and Roll Live. You know,
Thank you.
A little background. Jeff is a former colleague of mine, friend now, and we worked in radio together. And I talked many times about, in the past where I did a community affairs report. Well, this is the gentleman that I took it over from, because he was one of the many casualties of radio when they were downsizing, right-sizing, whatever they were calling it, And so I got the task after he left. And he's evolved kind of probably out of radio some, but you do some things still. And you moved into this fitness arena. And that's why we wanted to have you on, because that's another thing we talk about many, many times here is everybody at some point has a disability. You age into disability. And I have people that scoff at me, who are maybe 50 or 60 years old. And I say, well, do me a somersault. And it's like, oh yeah, I can't do that like I used to when I was a kid.
Touch your toes.
Yeah. So that's just kind of an easy example, but there are others, and that's why we wanted to have you on. We always we have our individual stories that we tell most of the time, but we like to have organizations on that help people with disabilities. Now, did you start with having a clientele basically of people that are elderly, or did it evolve?
Really good question. Believe it or not, kind of both. Mm-hmm. I had always pictured, so I was on the radio when I started working with a personal trainer at age 40. So I was just out of shape, sitting in a radio studio, eating unhealthy, weird hours, which destroys your diet usually, when you're tired and things, you eat horrible. It's just kind of our body chemistry. So I was quite overweight, like 30 pounds overweight when I turned 40. So my wife and I joined a gym. They recommended I get a personal trainer because I didn't really know anything about exercise. And it was great advice. They said, you don't have to sign up for long term, but if you don't know what you're doing, you'll just kind of wander around the gym, do some machines, not see any results, and you'll quit in 3 months. You'll look and see what other people are doing, and
right or wrong, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're it's not going to get you where you need because you need a plan, or where you want to be because you need a plan. So I hired a trainer. Turned out he was from Iowa, just like I was. We both graduated from the University of Iowa. Big difference. He had just gotten out of the NFL as a player. So he was a monster. He was a tight end from Iowa. Iowa puts a lot of tight ends in the NFL. So he was 6'4", just ripped, but we hit it off, so great. And he was really inspiring as well. I mean, he had this just super personality, still does. I still stay in touch with him 25 years later. Yeah. Right. But that just kind of got me interested. And all of a sudden I'm like going, wow, I can really take care of my body, and there's things I can do to feel better and to get stronger. And it just opened up a whole new world I hadn't even really thought of before. So even way back then, I kind of thought, wow, maybe I should get certified. And then he moved and I stopped working out. My hours changed. And so I fell completely out of shape again, because then a few years went by. So I decided I saw a picture of me that was horrible. I was now 40 pounds overweight. I gained the 30 back plus 10.
Yeah.
So I said, I got to call Austin again, look him up, even though he was kind of far away. I said, I got to commute. I got to do something about this. So then I started working with him and got in shape a second time and lost weight as well. But getting strong is a big part of it. Decided then I need to get certified so I know what to do to take care of myself and I'm not relying on someone else. So I got certified, but by this time when I got certified, I was 55 and I knew guys that were in high school weren't going to want to hire me to bench press 350 pounds and stuff, you know. So, and there was a guy at Austin's gym who was 72 that trained seniors, and they did a full page write-up on him in the Los Angeles Times. And I'm like, I know John, and that's what he does. I go, you know, maybe that's where my future lies now that I'm just going to be getting older and older and aging into that. So I kind of aim for that. And then I started to work while I was still on the radio part-time at an LA Fitness in Los Angeles, where I was living at the time. And the salespeople there, when someone older would come in or somebody with an injury, a shoulder, a hip, a knee, they would just put them on my schedule because they knew I was more careful with them. I had a calmer demeanor than these young kids. You know, I was more patient with them, not trying to just hand them, 30-pound dumbbells and like, okay, we're going to do bicep curls. We're going to do overhead presses, I was much more careful. And I even had people see me training others and come to me and say, I want to train with you because you train the way I want to be trained. So I saw that, but then it happened as well in real life because originally just anybody, I trained from 16-year-olds to 80-year-olds, but it pretty much gravitated to just the seniors. They would automatically give them to me. Yeah. So when I left the gym to go training on my own, then I just specialized in that. And with any part of business, if it's better to become an expert in a narrowly defined area than, I'll do anything for anybody type of thing. You can become more of an expert if you narrow your target audience and just work with them. So that's what I've done. And I've done about 6,000 sessions with almost all seniors, probably 5,000 of them now with seniors. So I understand their bodies. I know usually what's appropriate. Of course, everybody's different, but usually what appropriate ranges are, what they can probably do, and then when I can push them to do a little bit more, which is a big part too, is it's like, okay, we're ready to try a harder move. We're maybe ready to go up a little bit in weight, things like that. So, just the knowledge of that many sessions together.
I've been following you for years, and I see all the different exercise and a lot of it balance oriented, right? Because as you age, I think that's one of those things that is really apparent for a lot of people as they start to lose some of that agility that they had when they were younger, a little bit of the balance issues. But there's ways to overcome that. I've learned from watching your videos. So yes, balance is the number one thing I hear about. Of course, losing strength, but balance is probably number one. And I approach it two ways. We need to strengthen the legs and we need to work on foot and leg coordination. And that's maybe the things you would think about balance. Heel to toe walk. Standing on one leg, even what they call heel to toe stance, tandem stance, where you just stand there with one foot right in front of the other. It's a little easier than one leg stand, but not a lot because your feet are so close together. We've narrowed that base of support. You see the railing behind me? That was professionally installed. We do all of our balance work along that railing so people have something to hold on to if they start losing their grip. I use agility ladders like the NFL. In fact, my trainer, I actually have an NFL agility ladder of his, two of them actually, and we put those out and I make people do sideways stepping or frontward stepping, hopscotch type of stepping patterns, in, out, or diagonal in and out, like you see the football players doing, like real fast high knees. Of course, we do it slower. And I lay it against the wall back there by the railing so they can hold on in case they get a little wobbly, but I really challenge them. There's a phrase I've heard attributed to the Marines, and they say the more you sweat
in training, the less you bleed in war.
It's
So
really
I
makes a lot of sense, right?
I tell them we're going to hit it really hard in here. That way, when you're out walking around the block and there's broken sidewalk and there's tree roots and all of that stuff you need to dodge going up and down over curbs and steps, it's going to seem easy because we've done it here, but we've done it safely because you've been able to hold on until you got confident.
It's like the batter that goes up to bat and he's swinging 2 or 3 bats. And then he drops them to 1 and bam, boom, he can just swing that around with ease. Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good.
No, that's awesome.
So,
okay, I'm nosy.
Go.
Sorry, I'm going to be nosy. I'm cutting you off.
It's you.
Because we were talking the other day about when I went to physical therapy, the girl was just like, okay, do 3 sets of 10. I'll be back. And she literally, this was my first time. I should qualify. This is my first time. She's done like no evaluation except for like, how long can you stand on one foot? I have cerebral palsy, so the answer is 2 seconds. She literally was like left. She would like show me the exercise, sort of demonstrate it, and leave. So I'm curious if when you meet with your people, is it hands-on one person or is it a group, or how do you handle it?
Perfect question, Addie. It's one person. Okay, there's a couple of couples that I train.
Yeah.
But it's usually one-on-one, and I am right there. And a lot of times, even when they're walking along, the back doing the ladder drills, or I have stepping stones, things that they'll step on uneven, I'm behind them with my arms like this, kind of corralling them. So in case anybody stumbles, I'm right there. If they grab and miss, or if they are falling backwards too, I am right there. I am assuming always in my mind, if they fall, am I going to be ready to catch them? And I've had like 3 people fall in my 10 years. No one seriously injured, but it happens fast, and it does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm just
you want to avoid that.
I got that rubbed my skin the wrong way for sure as a kid who was put through physical therapy. But I was like, I asked Doug, I was like, is this new and common? Like, is this the way it goes? Because there's no way I want to pay somebody to be that way. I'm like, I've never been on your table. I could roll off in the middle of the exercise. You're across the room. Like, what's the plan, man?
Right. No, that's that. I would not think that that's a very responsible way to be a physical therapist. And they make a lot of money, so they should be there with you and not texting or on the phone or whatever they're doing across the room.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, even if they're, helping you, they should spend a lot of time. I mean, I've had sessions where I'm with a physical therapist and they may be working with 2 or 3 people at a time, but they're spending a lot of time. They'll say, okay, do this exercise. I'll be right back. And then by the time you're completed that series of, they're coming back to you. Yeah. But just to walk away without an evaluation.
Yeah, we were laughing because my sister came with me, and obviously she's been like my sidekick for CP physical therapy my entire life, and she's literally like, there's a little half wall so she can see everything that's going on, and she's literally like yelling over the wall, move your knee, straighten your foot. Like, she is the one, like, I should have taken the money from them, given it to her, but I'm like, this is not the way. Yeah.
So now I know you also do like a Zoom sessions, right? So how does that work?
I'd heard before pre-COVID, I'd heard that trainers had trained people on Skype back in the day. Yeah. And I could never imagine how you would do that. And then COVID hit, and we started using Zoom, and of course, all my clients I was sitting at home, they were sitting at home, we weren't doing anything. And finally, after a month or 2, we're like, well, this could go on for who knows how long. Let's try to do something. So I offered them a free session, and some of them live near me. We just couldn't get together in person. So I dropped off some weights and some bands and a mat and whatever they needed on their doorstep. And I said, just let it sit there for 2 days, or bring it in the house, fumigate it, let it sit there. But we'll just do a free session just to see if we can make this work. And, after just a little bit of time and doing it with a few people, it's like, well, we can definitely make it work for now. And now I've done a few thousand sessions on Zoom as well. I do them every day, including I have a client I train in Europe on Zoom twice a week with a 9-hour time difference.
Isn't that
it's morning here, afternoon there. I mean, we make it
Netherlands?
work.
Where is it?
We just kind of figured it out. I've gotten really good at it now. I'll send people the stuff they need, the equipment, maybe some ankle weights to try to replicate some of the machines that they would need, tell them where to put the camera so I can see them, and then just a lot of course, coaching and talking them through it, especially at the beginning. And then we both figure it out and get used to what we're trying to do and how that works. So it actually works surprisingly well. In fact, quickly when COVID ended and people could start coming back to my home gym that I had, one lady that lived like 3 miles away, she's like, no, I'm just going to keep doing it on Zoom. It's way too convenient. I don't even have to leave the house. I don't have to get ready. I'm just going to keep doing this. Yeah. And then when I moved from Los Angeles to San Diego, all those people went back on Zoom then because it was the only way to keep training with me. But they'd already been broken in to the idea of Zoom and had already done it before. So it worked out. So probably, I don't know, maybe 40% of my clients are on Zoom and then the rest are in person.
So is there any adjustment that you've made because you're not there to kind of physically make sure that they're safe?
Good point. Yeah. I actually went to a lady's house. She has an ataxia, muscle degenerative disease, and she's getting weaker. I went to her house and put one of those bars in her spare bedroom where she works out. So she actually can stand and hold that while she's doing things. But yes, I've had people that are so unstable on Zoom. I only trained them sitting down, where like one guy, his wife would put the laptop on the coffee table and he would be on the sofa because he was so unstable on his feet, we couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. He used to train with me, and then he went downhill over the years where we used to be able to do regular training, and then it devolved into just doing that. Now I had ankle weights there, I had bands, I had dumbbells there. We'd put the ankle weights on, he'd have to do leg lifts and leg circles and all kinds of stuff to keep strengthening his legs, even though he didn't walk much. Of course, he did have to get up and use a walker to go to the restroom and for meals and things like that, but most of the day he just sat on the sofa. So we have to definitely be careful. And since I'm not there, especially when we're doing balance, we have to be a lot more careful on how we do some of the things. And some things I won't recommend doing just because there's no one there with them. Sometimes they will have another family member, a spouse, an adult child, maybe a caretaker there that will help them do some of those, even if we're doing it on Zoom. But it's not quite as, the full range that we do here in person.
Yeah, but they understand that if they want to do it Zoom, that's the way it's got to be. So what are some examples of some cases where what they're looking for? Is it somebody maybe coming off a surgery and they want to rehabilitate and get some of that mobility back, or they feel like they're losing it and they're looking for a way to maybe gain some of it back?
Probably the most common is people just know that they're getting weaker. Maybe they've already fallen and hurt themselves, and they don't want to do it again, or they just realize they're really unstable. Sometimes it's an adult child that will reach out to me and say, my mom or my dad really need your services. I'm really worried about them living at home alone and falling and hurting themselves. So a lot of it is that, maybe preventative, because they just realize they've reached a point where they need help. But there's been several clients that they have fallen, hurt themselves, shattered kneecap, broken wrist from the fall, have a plate in their wrist or arm. So they've come to me for the rehab of the shoulder or the knee that was damaged in the fall, and then realize, well, if I don't want to fall again, I need to keep doing this, because if I just sit around, it's going to go downhill. So, and I have people, the insurance paid for physical therapy ends. They have the list of exercises that the physical therapist gave them to do at home. They bring them to me and we keep doing them. Plus I add some other strengthening and balance exercises with that to make it a more complete program. Let me just go back. And just kind of set a baseline here on this, because we're kind of alluding to it and referring to it, but there's something age-related muscle loss. It's called sarcopenia.
Perfect. I wanted to ask about that. Perfect.
And I'm preaching sarcopenia every day. Age-related muscle loss. It goes back to the Greek sarco. It says flesh. Some of the muscle fibers, one of the components is called sarcomeres, and then the penia means loss. So you have osteopenia, which is a precursor to osteoporosis. So it's age-related bone loss. We also have age-related muscle loss. The age-related muscle loss actually starts in our 30s.
Oh, wow.
Stats vary, but we lose only 3 to 5% per decade until women hit menopause. And then it speeds up, and it speeds up pretty much for men and women in their 60s and 70s. And the trouble with this muscle loss, especially speeding up, it's an exponentially greater loss in strength. So loss in volume or mass has a huge loss in strength. So you could lose a quarter or a third of your muscle mass. That's one reason why some older folks get skinny. Even if they have a tummy and even if they're overweight, maybe the arms and legs are skinny, they're losing muscle mass. You may have lost half or more of your strength. So now you're having trouble getting off the sofa, climbing upstairs, carrying groceries, picking up a grandchild, picking up the cat, all of these things.
Does that also impact balance, Jeff?
Yes, it does. It does. Certainly, because as I mentioned earlier, for balance, I do leg strengthening as well as the coordination. So the ladder drills and the step overs and step up and step downs using the steps. I should have put some in the background for a little bit there for props. But so that's the coordination, but the strengthening is important as well, especially the thighs. The quad strength, many studies have linked weak quads to higher all-cause mortality. Now, some of that is believed that the reason we have weak quads, we sit around too much, is one of the reasons why we're more likely to die early of any causes of diseases or whatever. But having strong quads is one of the biggest predictors of longevity, of avoiding early death. The other is grip strength. So forearm strength as well. Weak grip strength also related to higher all-cause mortality, early death. But it's thought maybe it's the same thing. If you just don't do anything, you're weaker in general, but those are upper and lower body predictors. So we really need, but also having great foot coordination, doing the crossover stepping and things like that, the behind stepping, the grapevines. If that's not enough, if the legs are just so weak, they can barely hold you up anyway. So that's why it needs to be leg strengthening and the coordination drills, so we don't get tripped up, but we're also strong enough to be more stable on our feet. So I really found that it's a two-part thing. We can't just address one to really avoid the falls. So the sarcopenia, weight training, strength training, doing the stepping up exercises and things like that, really important so we don't continue to go downhill. Now, age is eventually going to get us all, but we can slow the decline immensely. You know, we don't want a quick drop off. We want a very slow, gradual drop off in our strength and quality of life. Dr. Peter Attia talks about squaring the curve. Ideally, we're healthy, and then die one day. We don't want to have this slow decline. Oh, we're in a wheelchair, we're in a walker because we're so weak. We're in a hospital bed on a ventilator, on life support machines because our body's giving out and we're still alive. We want to square that curve like we're dropping off a cliff. You know, you feel great and then you die in your sleep at age 85 or 90. I mean, that's the ideal way. So the term health span as opposed to lifespan. So health span is the time of life that we're healthy. Unfortunately, there's about a 14-year gap for women from when they end being healthy around 67 to when they die around 81. So those last 14 years can be kind of ugly. So we want to make sure we want to be as healthy as we can to the end, extend the health span almost, basically to the full range of lifespan.
Amazing. That's a really cool way to think about it. So you obviously deal with the exercise elements and stuff. Do you also study and inform people on like food? Because obviously if you eat crap and you work out, it doesn't matter. It's like negates each other. So do you kind of holistically help people with that, or how do you
I do less on food, but I do have a weight management specialist certification. So I do try to talk about macronutrients and an appropriate mix of protein and carbs and healthy fats and things like that. So I will, and some want more, nutrition coaching than others, and I'm glad to do that. But I have referred a client out to an actual dietitian before and things like that if it's beyond me. Some of weight loss. So nutrition and weight loss can be two different things, or if somebody has a lot of weight to lose, there's a lot of things going on, and it takes more than maybe just me. But if people are just like, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds and I don't know what to eat, and they have no concept of the three macronutrients: protein, carbs, and fats. And the good carbs and bad carbs, good fats and bad fats. So I try to inform them on that. And even just some of that really brings people around, and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know any of that. They didn't realize that almost all carbs come from plants and almost all protein comes from animals, milk or animal byproducts. They had no idea. They don't know the difference between good fat and bad fat. They're avoiding all fat, thinking if I eat something that's fat, it's going to become body fat. Well, those are different. Yeah. You can eat only broccoli, but if you eat more broccoli calories than you burn in a day, it's going to turn to fat. The excess calories are going to turn to fat, even if it's broccoli, one of the healthiest things you can eat. I talked to them about what they call energy balance, calories in versus calories out. Even if you're only eating good stuff, if you're eating too much of the healthy stuff, it'll still make a difference. Now, the other thing I do besides the balance and strength is I'm a certified brain health trainer.
Oh, cool.
So that's to maintain cognition, perhaps delay, prevent, reverse some cognitive decline. Controversial. Some new proponents are saying, yes, we can absolutely do that. Others are saying there's no way we can reverse, cognitive decline. I think that we can, or at least slow the decline or delay the onset. Yeah. But and the good news for folks that want to strength train is it's combining, it has to be physical exercise with cognitive drills at the same time.
Right.
So I may have 4 shapes on the screen. A circle means a bicep curl with the right, a square bicep curl with the left arm. A triangle is a step up with the left leg, hexagon step up with the right leg, and I'm flashing these on the screen. Or I may flash multiple. I may flash, and there's a circle, a square, and a triangle. So they have to do 2 bicep curls and a step up. You can do that with not only shapes, but you can do it with numbers. You can do it with alphabet, colors. I actually do it with colors, which makes them hard as well. But it can be something as simple as doing bicep curls, counting backwards from 50 by 3s with each repetition. So they're like 47, 44, 41. So the idea is the brain is working while the body is working at the same time. It strengthens all the neural connections and different things. Sometimes we'll do them audibly, where I'll tell them circle, square, as opposed to flash it on the screen. Right. Now we're hitting the temporal lobes as opposed to the occipital lobe. So they're having to process the information audibly instead of visually. So we're strengthening the brain a lot of different ways. So I do that with some clients as well, because 2/3 of Alzheimer's patients in the U.S. are women. Most of my clients happen to be women. And, Alzheimer's is a ticking time bomb. So there's things that we can do at any age. Young athletes are doing a lot of these drills now, too, because they realize if you're on a football field and you're running to catch a pass and you got to do these cuts and everything, or soccer, quicker decision making with this brain training and physical training at the same time.
Amazing. Such a cool thing. pat your head and rub your belly. I don't know.
That's right. Exactly. And there's switching, like hang loose to hook 'em horns, different hand things. A physical therapist I started following has lots of different shoot the bunny.
Oh yeah.
Like trying to switch those fingers back and forth. See, I can't do it. So shoot the bunny's one of them. The hook 'em horns and hang loose, that one's easier, but there's like a half a dozen she demonstrates on Instagram. But that's all brain training, a little bit of physical because you are moving the hands. Right. So you're tying the body into the cognitive. And then one other thing I really wanted to mention, and I have it in my notes here for folks. If people are in a wheelchair or mostly spend a lot of time in a wheelchair.
You're reading my mind, Jeff, because I wanted to address, our listeners are mobility challenged.
It really concerns me, yes. Yeah. We need to strengthen those legs. The stuff I mentioned about the guy that's sitting on the sofa, strengthening the legs. There's a muscle in the calf. It's under the actual calf. The calf muscle is referred to as the gastrocnemius. Well, the soleus is behind it, under it, against the bone. So we have two in the back in the calf. That soleus is considered our second heart. It pumps the blood out of the legs back up to the heart, getting the blood into the upper body, circulating more. Actually, weaker soleus, higher rates of dementia, less blood circulating in the brain. Dementia can be tied to low blood flow to the brain. There's vascular dementia where the blood flow to the brain isn't as much. So strengthening those calves, so doing seated calf raises while you're sitting, or heel raises while you're sitting there. Just keep the toes on the floor and lift the heels. That's contracting, but you want to do it sitting with the knees bent. That works the soleus. If you do it standing, now we're working the gastrocnemius, a different muscle, but that's not the blood pumping muscle as well. So I started, there's a website and a doctor, Human Locomotion, and he really gets into that, talking about the soleus, strengthening that. So I do that with my clients now. We'll put 10-pound, even 20-pound dumbbell on their knee while they're sitting there, and then just do heel raises because they're doing it against resistance now to strengthen those. Yeah. Leg extensions where the knee's bent, and we're just doing these, working the quads.
Giving us a demonstration
for the
here.
Quads. Yeah. All important for the quads, like I said, the all mortality, death rate goes up with weak quads. So those are big ones. Of course, hamstrings, the backside of the quads, and that is leg curls.
Standing in a chair, bending his leg.
To do that. This contracts to extend the knee. I don't know if I'm off mic too much, but anyway.
I was giving you a play-by-play too.
Good. That's what I figured. That's good. So those are really key. Now, standing heel raises are good too to work the lower, and even toe raises to work the muscles on the shin. So we're working the upper legs, the lower legs, great for balance. Glutes, hugely important. So last one I'll show maybe for the glutes, if we turn like the toe
standing
out
on a chair and extending his leg behind him straight. Yeah. Flexing his glute.
So that's using the glute to pull that straight leg back behind you. So really glutes, thighs, hammies, the big three. They're three of the biggest muscle groups because that's what propels us around. Even if we're not doing a lot of walking, we really need to keep those strong just to keep the blood circulating through the body.
So what advice do you have for somebody that's a paraplegic or a quadriplegic? Is there any way to, are there some good ways to exercise? And particularly, like you mentioned, I hadn't realized this. I learned this, that calf muscle is helping the blood and the heart pump to the rest of the body. What if you don't have those muscles? Is there another alternative to enhance that?
That is tough. I can't think of something right off the top of my head to enhance it. Now, if you don't get a lot of movement, now I do have some people with serious neuropathy where they can't feel really anything below their knees, including their feet. So they're horrible balance because if you can't even feel the ground, I mean, you're like walking on a cloud and you don't know, if you're stepping on something, and your foot's going to turn or whatever. So they're at a huge disadvantage, and they may not be able to do some of those things like a standing heel raise because they just can't, the nerves aren't making those muscles contract. The thing is if you can even try to clench the muscles, even if they're not doing movement, that's a great start. So you have your 3 types of contraction. Bicep curls the easiest. So doing what you normally think, this is concentric. Now let's say I had a big heavy weight there and I was going to slowly lower it down. That's eccentric. That's the negative part. And then of course, just doing this and just squeezing as hard as I can and not going up or down, that's called concentric. So, or no, I'm isometric. I'm sorry. So concentric, eccentric, and just doing this and just squeezing my fist as hard as I can and not moving is isometric.
I remember that was a big fad 30 or 40 years ago. Not to say it's not important, but isometric. That was like a whole, weightlifting health craze there years ago.
Right. Well, a plank is isometric because you're just holding it for time. There's a lot of really good things actually that can be done with isometric. But for people that, if you can get a little bit of a contraction, even if you can't get the movement, that's a great place to start. They found working with stroke victims, like let's say the right side is paralyzed, working the left as hard as you can, actually, because the left hand side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and there's crossovers, and they call it decussation is the term. So actually working the good side of the body can actually have a little bit of carryover to the affected side of the body. So doing whatever you can, let's say you have feeling down to your knee, but not below the knee, work the quads and hamstrings and as low on the chain that you can feel as possible, and sometimes it helps those nerves, or it grows new pathways. They call it plasticity, neuroplasticity, where the signal will find new routes. It's like if there's a traffic jam and you go, okay, I'm going to take a detour and go around the block and join on past the crash or whatever, get back on the street I want. The body will actually do that sometimes, and maybe greatly, maybe a little bit, but always trying to work as close to the issue as you can and get as much movement and muscle and nerve stimulation there, and it can slowly go further into those areas. But I'm not a physical therapist, but I read a lot of stuff and I follow some physical therapists, and I always ask them a lot of questions whenever I meet them. I'm like, well, what about this? If I've got this, what should I do? So I'm always trying to get, because now it's a doctor. Now it's actually like a 7-year PhD or whatever degree to become a doctor of physical therapy. Used to only have to be a master's degree. So I looked into it and said, no, I'm going to be 65 this year. Yeah. I'm not going, I'm done with school.
Cool. Yeah. Very good. Well, we're winding down here. So let's make sure people know how to get a hold of you and Silver Strong Fitness.
So Silver Strong Fitness. So my website is silverstrong.fitness. .fitness is now a domain. My email is just info@silverstrong.fitness. And, I check that that's all they really need. They can message me through my website, or they can just email me as well. I have, testimonials and different things from clients on there that are ladies that were thrilled that we work together. A lot of people don't realize there's personal trainers that specialize in working with seniors and people with balance problems. So they're like, you're exactly what I needed. Oh my God, I had no idea people like you existed. They just know if they go to 24-Hour Fitness or LA Fitness, where I worked at both of them, that there's these young men and women in their 20s that are just got certified, and they're trying to give you too heavy of weights and inappropriate and don't know what they're doing. We were all there, but hopefully we learn. I wasn't never in my 20s when I started that, but they're just happy that somebody understands their bodies, and trains them appropriately.
Well, I'm happy you found your niche.
Yeah, I'm so
thank
That
you.
is awesome.
Yay!
And thank you for sharing it with us here on Walk and Roll Live.
My pleasure. I hope I was able to give some people some ideas and maybe motivate them on getting fit.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
I was excited to show my family just how much better of a skier I got to be. So we went up on December 30th. Then the next morning, I woke up 10 out of 10 pain. Chest, back, head. I slowly lost all feeling from my feet all the way up to my chest, that I was paralyzed, essentially. I didn't understand what was happening. All I knew is that something scary was going on. And
join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
From the Ugyar Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Walk and Roll Live continues now, and I got to ask you something. You get 3 guesses at this, and the first 2 don't count. Do you think Addie liked this episode? What do you think?
Well, you already know I love this episode. I'm so proud of myself. This was on my to-do list this week, was to reach out to Jeff and say, let's make an appointment, because I want to put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah. I know you're in the market.
It was so nice to speak to him. And after having that sort of catastrophic experience of going to that physical therapy place and then seeing someone like Jeff, who's so passionate and so thoughtful. And so he's there for the people. Money makes the world go round, but people make the business make his life what it is. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm no, don't go away. It's such a quick interview, but it really wasn't. So nice.
And he knows his stuff. I mean, you could tell, and I know this is a second career for him, and he's I don't know if he exactly gave his age, but you could probably add up some of the things that he's accomplished. He'd been around a while, and so it's great. It's great, yeah. And
like you say, he's not just I was in my basement and decided I thought this was cool. He has done a lot of the work, and he has the spirit of the right kind of person to work with people in different bodies and different twilights of their life. I think that was one thing that I walked away with is people are destined. We pick a desk job because we have to have one, but some people are destined to leave their mark in the world in a different way. And he has the gentle spirit to kick us in the butt, but help us through the darker stuff that we're not ready for.
I like the fact that it's all one-on-one. It's a great way of addressing these issues with people. It just, I don't think would work, if you had a class of 30 people, because it's so individual what he does for each of his clients. So.
Well, for sure. And most of us at some point have gone to a gym or done some sort of group training and thought I don't belong here. My body is not like which of these is not like the other? It's me.
It's me.
So I think that his style and his attention to detail and understanding of the dynamics of the relationships that work in their lives, like how he was talking about having to do the one with the guy sitting down on the couch. Yeah. Looking at the whole picture to create a microscopic picture that he works in, right?
Yeah. Check him out at silverstrong.fitness. Get all the details. And as, summer is winding down, there are still plenty of events going on, as will be demonstrated by going to our events page on walkandrolllive.com. A bunch of new stuff I want to highlight. Specifically, though, one of the organizations that I volunteer for, Anthesis, having their casino night coming up September 26th. All the information is on the page, and you can click on that picture of it. It'll take you right through to the page where you sign up. And we're having some kind of a special right now on the tickets, much cheaper than usual. So take advantage of that. You'll come. That gets you a bunch of funny money to start with, and then you play. I think there's 4 casino games that you can play all night. We've got food for you. We've got a raffle that we're going to. You get to purchase stuff with your funny money.
Oh, fun!
Yeah. So it's kind of a cool concept. So yeah, come and join us. It's always a good time. And I think that's all I got.
We had a lot already, so that's all we got.
That's all we got. But I'll remind you to tell everybody to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Por favor. Yes. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, with Addie Rich from the Aguiar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live. Disability Stories, Life Limitless.
Walk and Roll Live.